27 of Sirus, live with Sirus Migration with all the latest Australian immigration news and updates. My name is Ashani Yapa. I'm an Australian registered migration agent. I've got my lovely wife right next to me, Ashani Yapa. She's an Australian registered migration agent as well. So hope we are appearing in both Facebook and live, Facebook and YouTube up there, and just wanted to
also, if this is the first time you're joining us, I'll quickly do some housekeeping information how the session runs.
Thank you.
We normally talk for about 15 minutes, giving you the latest updates and the latest trendy Australian visas at the time, and then we give you the opportunity in that time to post any questions you have on Facebook comments or in YouTube, and then we take the rest of the time answering all the questions you have to the best of our knowledge. And also, if we feel like you have a chance to apply for a visa straight away, sometimes we offer you free initial consultations as well to help you further. And our contact numbers are you're best at this.
1-3000 74787. If you go to the telephone dial, if you say 1-3000 and Sirus, SIRUS, it's 74787, or admin@sirus.com.au. We have WhatsApp and mobile next to it as well, 0450 74787.
Yeah.
We get lots of calls and messages and emails. If it's a relevant, urgent one, please pick up the phone and call us, and we'll book you an urgent appointment.
And sometimes it can take us about 2 days to reply to your emails. That's simply because of the number of emails that we are receiving each day.
So there's few things to talk about. Not too many hot news apart from the skill migration updates and business and working updates as well. But we'll slowly go through all of them. We'll be talking about Migration Queensland. This is the latest one to be open. And
not open yet.
Not open yet. So there'll be lots of good news coming soon. We'll talk about business visas, working holiday visas, and work visas in general. But if you have questions to ask
about any kind of Australian visa, please feel free to post them, and then we'll try to answer in our session. Do you want to start with Queensland?
Migration Queensland, yes. Migration Queensland, we were expecting to open anytime anytime now, but it doesn't look like they'll be opening this month. We've seen the updates taken out. You can see
there's only 2 more days left anyway. And the week is ending, so last day is tomorrow.
Migration Queensland's coming up with a new website and a portal system, so I think the updates and things can probably taking time too. We are all expecting wonderful migration program from Migration Queensland.
And if you're an applicant who you think will be ready for Migration Queensland, don't wait too long. I think it's about time now you have a dummy EOI ready in the system. EOI is expression of interest. That's the first step. You have to lodge an expression of interest to be picked up from Queensland. So work on it. If you have, and as you all probably know, that this is a point system. So if you already have your points, get it checked with the migration agent to see if you can increase your points, or if your partner can give you extra points, and what you can do to get the maximum chance to be invited this time around. Most likely the invitations will probably be open just for a week. So it's not a huge window that you have to lodge your expression of interest. So get it ready and be ready for when Migration Queensland opens.
So the migration options from Queensland is mostly 190 and 491, but 491 we have two major categories in Queensland, which is the regional skill and as well as small business owner category. I think Queensland is one of the first states to come up with the small business option, and still remaining as one of the most competitive and
I think their top priorities
favorable
as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, if you want to calculate your points, I'm just telling you this because we talked about your points and how you can increase your points. If you head into our website, www.sirus.com.au, I think our back office marketing team will post a link to this. There is a points calculator in our website where you can input all your data and it will calculate the points for you, which can be we sometimes use it as well for our clients, and it can be a really useful tool. You can
and it's
keep
very
using
transparent.
that. Exactly.
It goes through all the nitty-gritty and simple enough. Mari, you're going to put the
link in there. Yeah.
Link in there. I thought it'll be a wonderful sort of thing coming up. Sorry, we're not there yet. So 491, you only need 50 points by yourself, but 190, you need 65 points. So there's lots of clients. We have a promotion going on at the moment. Actually, no
fee.
No invitation, no fee. So if you don't get an invitation, we don't charge you any fees at all, and we have taken the initial consultation fee out for Queensland migration as well, to encourage people to join these sessions. So a lot of people have inquired us lately, asking for 190 how much points do I need, etc. So it all depends on, there is no set, okay, if you're an accountant you need to have this much points. I mean, bad example again.
We never know. When Queensland opens, they will have their own criteria. So a base point would be 65 on your own, or 60 on your own with 5 points from state. That is the base requirement. But last time when they opened, they said they're going to give priority to people with 85 points. But I have had clients who got invitations with 70 points. So we don't know what it's going to look like when they reopen Queensland this time. We are hoping really good news and fireworks for our clients. So don't be discouraged if you have 60 points on your own. Don't be discouraged if you're working in Queensland especially, because I feel like most of the time the requirement will still be working in 6 months anywhere in Queensland, you'll be eligible for 190. Working in 3 months in regional Queensland, you'll be eligible for subclass 491. So
these things could change as well. I mean, Western Australia came up with this wonderful offer saying 12 months job offer, you'll be eligible for 491. So come on, Queensland, you can do better than this. It's a competition between states. You never know. So let's see.
Hopefully by next week, in our next session, we will know and we will talk about it. But as I said, don't be discouraged if you're in Queensland, and if you're really interested in Queensland and in love with sunny Queensland, get in touch with the migration agent and see what you can do to increase your chances to get an invitation to settle in Queensland.
So, and also talking about 80 points, 85 points for 190, certain occupations like chemists and who did we get?
Mechanical engineer, we had nurses.
Physiotherapist, you can get a 190, 189, even certain times you get invitations at 65 points. Not that you will always get it, but so you don't need 90 to 100 points to get invitation. So it depends on your occupation and your background, which state and what category you go through. It's best to be in touch with one of good migration agents who's got a broad area to find out what will be the best and most suitable option for you.
And we have had quite a trend in the last couple of months of people interested in state sponsorships, people who are on temporary working visas. So people who are currently here on subclass 482, which is a temporary visa. So they already have an employer, they've been working. Sometimes they even came to Australia with a subclass 482 or a 457 long ago. So they are also eligible to get the state nomination
So you
if
don't
they
need to
can
go through-
fulfill all the requirements of the state. So you don't have to study in Australia. There's no such requirement, especially for Queensland. And most of the other states as well, they have their own requirement. Like, for example, Western Australia, they have two lists, one for graduates and one for non-graduates. So the non-graduate stream, even if you're holding the subclass 482, I think you'll be given priority. I have handled quite a few visas for resident medical officers who are holding subclass 482, and we got the nomination from Queensland. So don't limit to international students. It could be people who are here on other temporary visas with full-time work rights.
And it is not a bad thing or a wrong thing to put another application
No.
when you're in a visa. You could be in a student visa, or you could be in a work visa, as Ashani said earlier. It's a very good, valid point that you brought up. Many people, one thing is concentrating on your own career and your lifestyle, and also if you're having permanent plans to stay back in Australia and work permanently, or live here and contribute your commitments back to Australia, then it might be a better and quick option as well. I think there'll be better consideration for you as well.
Exactly, and some employers, from our knowledge, they're not like
482, not 186.
Yes, so they're not willing to sponsor applicants for permanent residency due to various reasons. So it could be a really good opportunity, because other than moving from one temporary visa to another temporary visa, why not seek the state nomination and go for permanent residency that way? So it could be a really good avenue as well.
So medical sector employees are doing really well in this one, and I have some good success news from system analysts and data analysts as well, who's got opportunities through, in this instance, Queensland Health. So you get competitive pay rates here as well, working in Sunshine Coast, Gold Coast, Toowoomba regional areas gives you more opportunities. So stay tuned, stay up to date. Right now the latest one is Queensland about to come up. We are all excited to see not only the opening, also to see what sort of program they've got for this year as well. Last year, one of the main requirements, as Ashani said earlier, is for candidates to be living and working in Queensland for at least 3 months if in a regional area, if it's a 491 applicant, or 6 months in for 190 anywhere in Queensland. But it might be different this year. And
And if you're interested in Queensland migration, keep checking our website every day and our Facebook, because we will be one of the first ones to go live and tell you the news about BSMQ opening and what is the requirement.
So if you haven't, for that matter, if you haven't
Subscribe.
hit that like button, hit it right now, or if you haven't done the subscribe button in YouTube?
Yeah.
Press it
Please
right now.
subscribe to our channel, so when we go live and put a video about giving
You'll be the first one to
BSMQ
know.
news, or Migration Queensland as you call it, I don't want to get in trouble, you'll be one of the first ones to know.
Yeah.
So let's move to business visas.
So business visas. We've been talking about business visas all the time. There's not many big changes from last session to this session, but if you haven't seen the last session, or if you missed out, in 1st of July, there was a bit of a reformation on the full sector. 132 doesn't exist anymore, which was the straight permanent residency pathway, but 188A clients.
So innovation is still there, but then the requirement has changed. Now you need a little bit more turnover and also a little bit more
assets.
Yeah.
So a $750,000 business turnover requirement, and $1.25 million asset requirement. Do we have a points calculator in our website for that? So we'll have a points calculator coming soon. So that's a
for the business visa as well, because for a to be eligible for business visa, you need 65 points on your own. As long as you have that, there is no educational requirement, there is
Or
no
English
minimum
requirement.
English requirement.
Yeah.
So as long as you're a business person and you have the capacity, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for the business talent to come to Australia. Not necessarily you need education or English, as long as you're a proven business person already.
They're looking at your business experience through the number of years you operate the business and also the turnover of your business and what capacity you're working in the business and what sort of ownership you have. And then another requirement is to see how much assets you have by yourself through the business and your partner, spouse. So they're the major changes, and also the 188B, where people talk about 188B, the investor visa is where you invest 1.5 million into the government bonds, which is still there, but in a completely different way at the moment.
But now the amount has increased as well.
Amount has increased from 1.5 to 2.5, but it works more like the significant investor category, where you need to invest your 2.5 million in different sectors, not just depositing money into the treasury bonds. So when I was talking about this after the session last week, I got many calls from our existing 188B clients who are in the pipeline waiting for the visa to be approved. They were worried what's going to happen with us. Do we have to now put $2.5 million into the visa, or do we have to not do through the treasury bonds? Do we have to do it through something else? So the answer is, whoever's in the pipeline, whoever had received an invitation before 1st of July, or whoever has applied for 188A.
No, whoever has received an invitation. So if you have got your invitation, even on 30th of June, you're safe. But if you haven't received an invitation until 1st of July and you lodged before 30th June, but you got the invitation after 1st of July, then you're doomed. No, then you have to obey by the new rules. But if you have received an invitation, I have received invitations last week of June as well for 3 or 4 of our clients, 4 clients. So day. Those ones, they already have their 60 days even in July to lodge the application.
Yeah.
So or even those ones are fine.
Yeah.
But if you have received the invitation after 1st of July, that's when the new requirements kick in.
Yeah.
So people who are already waiting for a decision, people who already got the visa, already got an invitation, you are safe. Or you don't have to worry about the new rules.
So whatever the advice we would have given you back then would still stand the same for you. And you will be receiving 4 years and 3 months visa, whereas the new applicants will be receiving 5 years visa. That's going to be another difference.
They can apply after 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's that side, and then we'll also talk about working holiday visas quickly. Working holiday clients, applicants. There's the biggest news we have for you right now is, if you're working in hospitality and tourism sector, you can work all the way to 12 months without asking for permission or looking for a second place to work for. And also, if you're working in tourism and hospitality in Northern Territory, then you'll be having opportunities to go for the second or third terms as well. And there'll be and the best news coming up for people who's going into onshore people who's going into extend their working holiday visa in 2020-22, it'll be a free visa. So there'll be no immigration Department of Home Affairs visa application fees, back free. So that's the biggest news in that relate. Business visa, then work.
I think Sorry, do you
Go
have
on.
anything? Before we move on, I would like to slightly touch base on the travel exemptions and travel restriction
Very
and
good.
offshore people. So what we have to tell you for people who are offshore, we have had some visa grants for student visa holders, and we have also had some exemptions for people who got student visas as long as they're in health sector. So, not all hope is lost. You can still apply for student visas, get it granted, and in some rare cases, you can get travel exemptions to travel to Australia. But in general, international students cannot enter Australia right now unless you're a permanent resident, Australian citizen, or an eligible New Zealand citizen, or immediate family member of Australians, or you're working in critical sector or entering Australia for special purposes. You cannot right now enter Australia. The borders are still closed. We've got lots of inquiries from
One
people.
more. If you're in the travel bubble coming from New Zealand.
Yeah. So, okay, now I forgot what I was going to say.
And this is one of the visa grants that we had recently as well. So
For offshore people.
so
So
that's
what I was
26th of July, which is a couple of days ago.
2021. So that's a
So-
student visa granted for an offshore client, which is great news. And then I think he or she will be one of the first ones to come to Australia when the borders open, because they already have a visa and they're already studying online. So that is our advice to our clients offshore. And people who are looking for a skilled migration. Again, most of the states are not open for offshore people. Only South Australia is open for some of the health sector occupations. You can register your interest to apply, and if you're picked, then you can apply for the visa and hopefully get it granted. So again, bit of bad news still for our offshore skilled migration clients. It is not widely open for offshore simply because of the travel ban, I believe, because Australia is still struggling with quite bad numbers in Sydney, and they want to restrict the offshore arrivals to contain the virus. That's the only reason. With the travel restrictions of travel exemptions for people who are currently in Australia. Lot of international students, lot of 491 holders, 494 holders, 482 holders, all these temporary visa holders get in touch with us to ask about travel exemptions. So I had one client, a chef, whose father passed away, and he was asking about going back home. But if he left Australia, he's going to lose his job. So it's a very unfortunate situation for most people, because if you're holding a temporary visa, if you leave Australia, unless you have a job offer, even your occupation is in priority list, unless you have a job offer from Australia, you cannot come back. I have one client, 494 holder, who's not in critical sector, who's left Australia months ago, and we've tried 4 or 5 travel exemptions. He still cannot come in.
Sorry.
So guys, it's a serious matter. So if you're currently in Australia with a temporary visa, before you set foot out of Australia, please consider all your options, because you may not be able to come back until your visa runs out. So this 494 guy, if he's not here in the next 2 years, and we don't know when the borders will open, he may not be able to use that visa. So you have worked whole hard to get that visa, and you have to fulfill some requirements in the visa to go for a next visa, and you're going to miss out on that chance. So before you go, please get in touch with the migration agent. Find out, where you're sitting. If you go, how safe is it to come back? Lots of people I know went there to get married or to visit family or for personal reasons. That could be really important to you. But understand your situation, understand where you're going to be sitting in 6 months' time, in 1 year's time, with your visa situation not being able to return.
So the traveling around is not as easy as it used to be, but travel smart. Understand your obligations, understand your regulations that you bound by before you travel. I used to be one of the travelers who used to take at least a couple of international flights every month. I have been sitting in Queensland or Australia for last 18 months with no travel at all. I've been traveling between interstate. We need to be precautious. Now. I mean, we've got the Melbourne office opened not long ago, and last minute when we were about to go, the lockdown came up and we couldn't travel. And we feel it's not just taking chances. You need to plan ahead. We have obligations, we have responsibilities, how you can operate it with the travel restrictions. You have to be really, really smart about it.
I'm quite emotional when it comes to that, because we work all hard and you work all hard to get this visa, and you've done so much, and without understanding the consequences, you make that one mistake of leaving, and then how many times you try to get your travel exemption, it may not work. So understand before you do something, before you travel.
I know
we'll
we
answer some questions.
Yeah, just before that, I think we were supposed to talk about work visas a bit as well. Mari, would you mind pulling out my favorite graph? So this is
Not the GTI, the work visa sponsor infograph. Yeah.
So this is one of the good explanations we have for you if you have any intentions to look into work visa options. This is completely different to the point-based system. This is not a point-based system. The main two characters in these visa sectors are having an employer who can offer you a full-time job and also take off the responsibility being a sponsor or a nominator, and then you need to fulfill your requirements. So it's not all by yourself scenario. You need to have an employer, Australian employer, who's willing to employ you or give you a job opportunity. It's not as simple as sending you a letter or an invitation. It's more in depth, but it's simple enough if you do it properly. So when you look at this infograph, 186 and 191 are permanent residence visas, and that can be done. You can go into those visas straight away directly after fulfilling the requirements as listed, 3-year work experience, English, etc. Or you can go through a transition under a 482 visa, having 2 years experience, etc. Having a little bit more relaxed work experience or English or occupations, you can go into the regional occupation list and then go into 494 visa and get your permanent residency as through 191 later down the track as well. And talking about the occupation list, medium to long-term list can take you to 186 visa. Short-term skill occupation list will not take you to 186. You'll be stopped at 482 work visa. Regional occupation list is a larger list with less caveats and other requirements. Dharma is the designated area migration list. It gives you various low skill level concessions. So
English concessions, age concessions mainly, and sometimes
permanent residence pathways.
Also the pay concessions.
Yeah. PMSOL, Priority Migration Skill Occupation List. The list got expanded from 22 or 21 to 41
occupations now, I think.
Lately people were excited, a new occupation list got expanded, what's in it for me. It's only work for people who's in the work visa streams. So if you're in one of those, you'll be your application will be processed in a priority manner. It'll be processed quicker.
And it's also a very good indication of what Australia needs, even in terms of skilled migration. I know it doesn't have a direct impact on skilled migration, but it represents most of the states' priority lists when they open for skilled migration. So PMSO is pretty much what Australia right now needs to come out of COVID, isn't it?
Major needs, the most priority out of everything. Yeah, you can put that on as well. Marius got
That's the newest list.
Latest list out. If you're in one of those lists, you can. If you're currently even if you're currently offshore, you can apply for travel exemption to travel once you receive the visa. As I told earlier, if you're going through to any of the work visas through one of these lists, you'll be prioritized and processed very quick within
we have
matter of
had
weeks.
grants within months, like 1 month, 2 months, so it's pretty good.
Normally, it can take up to 6 to 8 months, where
Even
longer. But in this scenario, you'll be processed really quickly, as Ashani said just before.
Just to add 2 more critical points to the employer-sponsored visas, these are the questions that I get asked every day. I just want to mention that the employment experience, sometimes people think the experience only in Australia will count. That is not true. For example, if you're an accountant, let's say for 482 you need 2 years work experience, but you have worked in another country, Sri Lanka, India, Japan, anywhere for 2 years, those 2 years can be counted towards your work experience. So it doesn't have to be in Australia. And also another misconception people have, your employer, they think that you need to be currently working for this employer in order for them to sponsor you. That is not true. So let's say you are an accountant in Australia with 2 years work experience and you're currently on a student visa, and you have an employer who's approached you because of your skill and want to sponsor you as an accountant, but you're currently on a student visa. You can still lodge a subclass 482 as long as this employer is willing to give you a job once you get your visa. That is the requirement. So for you to go for subclass 482, 186 or 494, you don't need to be on a visa with full-time work rights. You don't need your work experience in Australia, and you don't need to be working for this employer right now.
Really good point. And also with 482, there is a big difference in work experience requirements for 482 and 1862. 482, it can be pre-qualification experience as well. So if you're a chef or if you're an accountant, as Ashani said earlier, even if you have experience before you qualified in Australia, offshore or onshore, as long as you fulfill the same duties, currently cannot be casual, it has to be
full-time, or it can be part-time,
part-time,
permanent part-time,
regular,
pro rata basis.
Yes. So then you can apply, but 186, it has to be post-qualification.
Yeah,
and
it has to be permanent full-time.
Permanent full-time after 3 years, minimum of, when you say full-time, it's minimum of 35 hours a week.
Or it could be 38, depending on your occupation. Yeah. So I think that's it about employer-nominated visa. I believe we have many questions to answer. We'll probably take about 15 minutes and go through the questions. Okay. Yeah. So we're just waiting for the questions to load so we can start reading them for you. I've got Miraz Hussain. I am from India, have positive skill assessment. He put the ANSCO code, but sorry, we don't have all the ANSCO codes in our head to know the occupation, okay. But you can look it up. Overall point 80 for 189, 85 for, 80 for 189, 85 for 190. What are the chances of offshore, and what about 491? So we will just quickly look at what your occupation is. But I think my last comment matters, because right now offshore people will not get invitation for most of the occupations. Okay, so that occupation is software applications programmer. Okay, that's a good occupation, but then again, unless you have a job from Australia, that's very highly unlikely that you're going to get an invitation right now. But it may change in the next year. I've got Ravi asking, please tell us about student visa. When will Australia start giving visas to students? I think that I again talked about this. So people are getting student visas granted. It's just that they cannot enter. So they can get a student visa and study. I've got Atik. When visa process start after medical or before medical, GSM. Visa process starts before medical. So once
Medical
you
is-
lodge your visa, they normally at the same time gives you an option, gives you a HAP ID to book your medicals, but you don't have to do it. Your process will start. But then if you haven't done it, when the case officer comes to that, they will send us a section 56 normally asking the applicant to go through medicals, but that doesn't mean that they don't touch the file until your medical's not done. That could be the last thing that they ask.
Shara Ali, sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. If I miss the coming nomination round, when will be the next round of Queensland? I'm still waiting for the skill assessment. So if you normally Queensland opens up for invitation rounds 4 times a year, every quarter
Hopefully
pretty
maybe
much.
in October, November, but we don't know because they haven't even opened for July yet.
So you might be one of the lucky ones. You probably, hopefully,
Be
cross the
ready.
fingers, will be ready by the time it comes up.
Yeah.
And also, depending on your occupation, did you check if you applied through the best assessing body as well? Because for certain occupations, without telling all the names of the assessing bodies, certain assessing bodies are faster than the others. So make sure you picked up the right one.
So I've got
Shims
Shims.
Aziz.
I'm software engineer with 80 to 85 points offshore for which state? Right now you can't apply for any state simply because they're not offering to offshore people. I've got Sai. Hi, I'm on priority list. Is 190 easier for Western Australia or New South Wales? Depending on your occupation and where you currently live. Because for Western Australia, you don't have to be living in Western Australia. If with a 12 months job offer for most of the occupations, you'll be eligible. But for New South Wales, I think you have to be living and working in New South Wales. So depending on, there's going to be so many other things that we have to look at before we can give you a right answer to that. I've got Bikram. Which state can I lodge ROI for restaurant manager? 491 with 80 points from offshore. Again, I'm
Offshore.
really sorry. I think we've answered this a few times. You're not eligible to lodge for any state.
Just before we go to the next YouTube question, there's a really good question from Tanvir Masood from Facebook. So Tanvir, his answer is, could you please tell us if 491 Small Business Owner Queensland Pathway has a new requirement yet? Did they publish any news requirements, or it will be based on the previous policy? So Tanvir,
The latest requirement was updated as of 1st of April. There hasn't been any requirements after that.
so so far the way Migration Queensland or BSMQ has been operating, even if they do a change, they always like if you already committed and if you already have if you already bought a business in
They
Queensland,
give you a good grace period.
before
Yeah.
that, even if they do a magical turn on the requirements, unfavorable for any other clients, or if it's more demand or whatever, if you're already in or if you already have bought the business, you'll still be assessed under the same requirements you had most likely at the time you acquired the business or started the business. They've been very fair and truthful that way. So that's hope that answered the question. There is no indication of new requirements, neither for 491, 190, 491 small business owner. I know there's been discussions through a lot of people. This is going to happen, that's going to happen. Some are rumors, some are not, some are possible, some are not possible. But I'm not in a position to tell you there is no official new requirements published for the next 491 series in Queensland. But even if they do it, as I said, most likely they will still honor the same requirement if you're already a person who's already bought a business and operating the business. So they'll be saying, if your settlement for the business date was from this day to that day, this will be the new requirements will be applicable.
Okay, I've got Sunil. Hi, I lodged my application for 491 visa, chef in South Australia. So can I leave my job or should I continue my job until visa grant? Well, they expect you to be working in your occupation. That's why they're giving you this invitation. Maybe you have a different job. You are free to move from one job to the other as long as it's in the same state. And it falls under, if you applied under outer regional South Australia, make sure you stay in that area because it's for 491. So as long as you stay in the state and stay within the requirements, you can move jobs. That's not an issue.
So one other question from Facebook, because we also always miss out on Facebook clients sometimes. So Abhiram Gunasetti, he's got a question. I have started my master's online from India and having a valid student visa, completed 1 semester already. My university is in regional and 2 years course. Will I get 5 points for regional study and 5 points for Australian study? This is a very good question. So far the instructions are is what is where you got your COE from. So if your institute who issued the COE is in a regional area, it will be
most likely, yes. I think you will get 5 points for regional and 5 points for study, but there is no regulation or legislation about it. It is only some news that's posted. So, but we are hoping that they will honor that, because the only reason you can't be here is simply because it's not up to you.
Yeah.
You can't travel.
So
So hopefully, yes. I've got Game Boy. I'm moving to Canberra as staying in Queensland is eligible for both New South Wales and ACT. Is there any other location except... Okay, Rohit, I think I don't have too much knowledge about the
nice area,
suburb that you're talking about. Get in touch with us. I can have a look at it a little bit more. I would also want to know where you're working and what your occupation is, so we can give you proper advice. I've got Rohit. I recently received my nomination for 482. Please tell me the visa time process. Offshore applicant. As chef. Rohit, normally when I get my nominations, we get the visa straight away. So you should get the visa very soon. If not, get your migration agent to follow up. Because it's chef, once you get the visa, you'll be able to come to Australia as well. So it shouldn't be too long. Maybe by next session, you will have your visa.
Please let us know.
Keep going down. Yeah, I've got Patrick. Tourist visa. Well, tourist visa, if you're a family member of Australia or if you fall under some very rare categories, you can still get a tourist visa and travel to Australia. But if you're a visitor wanting to come and sightsee, may not be the right time. You may not get the visa. I've got Deep. I'm electrical engineer with 1 year experience in Queensland with 80 points. Is there any chance? Renewable energy sector. That's a really good sector, energy sector. Sometimes electrical engineer may not be in the list, but renewable energy is going to be one of the priority sectors.
You never know.
Pretty sure.
Victoria and South Australia, they all worked out on target sectors without giving the occupation. Maybe
that's why I said, renewable
energy
is definitely a good sector. So yes, I think you have a really good chance. Why don't you get in touch with us and we'll do a free consultation and help you with your EOI.
Yeah, please do mention the live session and your name, Deeps, and then we'll help you out there. Abhiram's got another question. Do you guys deal with Western Australia migration? Is it easy to get a 491 or 190 in Western Australia when compared to the other states? When you have 2 years study in Western Australia, of course you'll be falling under the...
we deal with Western Australia. Get in touch with us. We can assess your whole case and then help you with expression of interest. I've got... who's next? I've got Partik asking, will I get PR through trade course?
Of course.
Most likely, yes. If the trade course, if that occupation is still on the list and if you go through all the process, there is a really good chance that you can get permanent residency through a trade course.
Experience, age, English.
Yeah, many other things as well. I've got Pandit. Hi, what do we need to prove our 3 years work experience for chef to apply for 186? So the document wise for 186, really good CV, employment letters, pay slips, tax payable. If your country is a country where you pay tax, then tax. If the country is superannuation paying country, then superannuation. All the payment and employment records to show your
reference letters,
3 years work experience.
Yeah.
I've got Rupal. Hello, Sirus team. I see all your videos and are really very helpful. Last week I also asked a question but was not answered. I'm sorry about that. Please answer today. In subclass 188A, in net worth, can
talking about assets.
Oh, okay, net worth. Can we add jewelry value? Okay,
Yes.
if there jewelry that you wear every day and if it's a very small amount, no. But then if it's a jewelry where we can get valuation report done, then most likely yes, we can, depending on how much is the worth and depending on whether we have valuation report and if they're insured and that kind of documentation for the jewelry, then yes, we can add them.
Chintan Goswami got a question. Can I apply for COVID visa without my employer's letter? This is 408. Of course.
Yes, you can, but don't apply. Wait till the last minute. Wait till your current visa's almost nearly ending, within at least 28 days. Then you can apply for COVID visa, given that you don't have any other option. This is only a last resort visa. So if you have any other option, don't just go for the 408. If you can't leave and you're stuck here with no other option, then you don't need an employer's letter to apply for COVID visa. But you will not get any work rights though.
Yeah. Divine Centino, if I'm pronouncing your name right, what will be the next when I finish my master's degree, two course study? Thank you. So good question. There is a 485 visa, but depending on what you want to achieve as well. So 485 temporary resident is the paradigm, but you need to you're talking about a very much a critical point of your migration journey. So if you're looking into permanent pathways or you're looking into migration options, I think you must meet up with a good migration agent, have a consultation to understand if it's the right time to apply for the 485 or you need to upskill or you need to go for another visa. So 485 is another visa option. They also call it TR, temporary resident, postgraduate work visa, study visa, PSW.
Yeah. Okay, I've got Afreen. Hi, I'm an accountant working in fruit and veggie shop as sub-accountant. As I will be eligible for 186 visa, how much should employer pay me for 186? So the employer has to make sure they're paying you the, what do you call it?
I didn't watch it.
Annual market salary rate. Yeah, that's the word. So they have to make sure the minimum pay is 54,000, about 55,000 from memory. There's an exact figure I can tell you a little later. But so they have to make sure that it is the general market rate for someone with your work experience and someone with your qualification. But because you're saying sub-accountant, I don't really understand fully what it means, but it has to be an accountant role where you qualify at least 80% of the ANSCO job duties for an accountant. As long as you meet that, but there are some other requirements as well. Why don't you get in touch with us? I'll do a free consultation and go through your case scenario and I will advise you if you're eligible for 186. If not, we can also look at 482 and later 186.
It goes back to the minimum wage and all that too, but minimum wage would not take over the market salary rates. So the accountants currently sitting at between $60,000 to $80,000 salary bracket, but it depends on your work experience and what duties, etc.
It depends on a lot of other things, I could try with 56,000, nothing stopping.
Warren, welcome, our favorite. I was just thinking about you. You haven't still asked your question.
Hi, Isuru and Ashani. Hi. Thank you for the great job. Keep shining. We will. You too. Please help.
Thank you.
Please let me know that golden day when I can visit you in Australia. Offshore applicant from Sri Lanka. Let us know. We will come and pick you up from the airport
Yes,
for the
definitely.
support you're giving us.
Thank you. And Abhiram, thanks for the question from Facebook. But
Let's read
look,
the question so everybody else can hear it.
Sorry
Sorry
for
for the out-of-the-box question, but why is there no consultancy culture in Australia, unlike
US and
US?
Canada.
What does that
But
mean?
it's just the procedures that they do. But Australian, it's just there are pros and cons in every side of it. Australia's got this culture, so
What is consultancy culture?
so they sometimes have a consultancy from the department that you can talk to, but
Okay, if that is what you meant, but if not,
But talk to us, we will
put
consult
the
you.
question again, then we can answer. I've got, who's this?
is pharmacy present in subclass 1? Pharmacy.
Oh, I have to check. I'm not 100% sure.
Pharmacy,
Maybe
are
we
you
can
talking
have a
about
look.
chemist? Chemist is MLTSSL 1, and you only require really low Priyanshu, right? Priyanshu,
Yeah.
good question. I think you're talking about chemist as the occupation. So your current requirement for last granted 189 was 65 points. MLTSSL listed. So you have a lot of options, but I'm not sure if I'm answering the right question too. So the question's not broad enough for me.
please maybe write the question again a little bit clearer.
Ladies and
Rupal
gentlemen,
again.
I've got a appointment coming up soon, so we'll take up another
Okay.
2-3 questions, and we'll have to excuse for the week. But it's great to have you. So we'll go 3 more questions. Maybe?
2 questions.
Yeah.
I've
Okay.
got Rupal saying 16 years before when I was married, I got some jewelry as gifted. Now they want to know if they can include it in a 188. Rupal, why don't you get in touch with us? I will again give you a free consultation for a subclass 188 business visa. Let's look at all your assets. You may not even need to include the jewelry, but if you do, then we can look at how we can incorporate that into your assets. How about that?
That sounds good.
I've got Poncho. I'm 47 years old and have masters in space technology, IT and space exploration experience. What are the chances of getting sponsored by employer? Well, for employer nominated visas, as long as it's a temporary visa, there is no age restriction. So it doesn't matter how old you are, as long as there is the right occupation, and if there is an Australian employer willing to sponsor you, then of course you can go for that. So last question.
Yeah, from Mohammed Mohiuddin.
Yeah.
I'm offshore applicant, have submitted an ROI in SA for 491, occupation maintenance planner, superior English and 10 years of experience. Very good. Total points of 90, including what are the chances? Very competitive for ROI in South Australia, but 90, 100 also is a very good points range. So hard to tell, to be honest, Moment. My opinion.
That's right.
Yeah, I think you'll have. I hope you'll have a good
But
outcome
maintenance
out of
planner
it.
was not in offshore list though. There were only some, from memory, some trades and some health sector. So yeah, and we can see that there are so many other questions that people have asked and we couldn't answer. Please email your questions to admin@sirus.com.au or give us a call 13000 Sirus, and we will answer all the questions. And thank you so much again for watching our live video. We try our best to give you the accurate and up-to-date information. And
We love to share our knowledge with you any time of the day. So if there's anything that we can do to help, we'll be there for you. And we're not sometimes the best to pick up occupation and just talk like parrots, but we'll explore into your requirement and also the occupation and try to get you the best answers possible.
So we will be back again next Thursday. Hopefully, as promised, we will be back before that with the news of BSMQ opening or Migration Queensland opening if they do that beforehand. Until then, stay safe.
I think next Thursday we'll be running a little late, not 3 p.m.
Not next Thursday. It's in 2 weeks' time.
Okay.
Yeah, next Thursday we will be back 3 p.m. Same time.
So stay safe.
Stay safe, guys. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. God bless you all. Bye-bye.